I hate saying this is racing because it's just a terrible saying, because usually when you say it, it's for a bad reason.
Stuff still happens, it's racing, and that's motorsport. And
we do racing, we push everything to the limit, so these problems, they do happen.
The character of this circuit is what makes it so special. It's something that creates a tremendous challenge for the drivers and the teams and the engineers.
First of all, the course is nice, the layout is nice, and super old school, very bumpy.
Different asphalt changes, asphalt to concrete, concrete to asphalt, and the varying levels of grip that you get in different sections of the track at different times in the day, and how you can utilize those to your advantage.
Famously, a lot of the LMP1 teams come over just purely to test here because it's harder to do 12 hours here than 24 hours at Le Mans or whatever.
It beats the car out. They should fix the place, but you can't fix it because it has so much personality.
I think it's a nice challenge, also not easy to set up the cars, but normally a good track for the AMG GT3.
And in racing as well. Not just placing the car in the right place at the right time for driving, but when you're racing each other, you can really put someone in a bad position if you just get them offline.
The bumpiness of the circuit, because it's incredibly hard on human and machine, and also giving feedback that don't change a thing.
We've always had a strong car here. We've always had a good setup. We did the test, and the test went well. We tried a lot of different things. I think we got a lot accomplished. And I think that's one of the key parts of this team, or the strongest part, I should say, is every time we make the car better, we're always able to improve upon the car.
So coming into the weekend, we had changed engines from Daytona. We were back on a loaner motor that we had used at Petit Le Mans last year. As we got into practice, we saw maybe some potential difficulties. There was nothing for sure wrong, but we knew the car was quick. We kept working on it through practice and getting the car where we needed to be in terms of performance.
Yeah, the first session we struggled mostly with understeer. I think the track conditions were maybe not ideal because the track changed after that and it was getting better. Obviously, we also adapt the car a bit.
You get that weird feel of the brake as the pad as it releases is like very grabby. Like you can almost hear it, like how aggressive it is on the rotor.
And also going like you do 10, I think it's 11, 12, you go there, but the front is shaking. Like if there's no weight in the front. The front is just not.
Yeah.
No, the steering is just.
Like even off the brake pedal?
Yeah, you're
Right,
flat out.
power through 11.
You know
I didn't get that though.
Yeah, you're there.
It's shatter.
It's not shattering. It's just like the front is so light that the wheel.
Interesting. Yeah, it was just right away. I think at Petit we also had water pressure issues with that engine that we used. I think they were supposed to have resolved it potentially, and maybe the solutions weren't effective. But no fault on anyone. They tried to fix a problem and maybe didn't find the right solution. But after that, they put on the other cap, but lost enough water to the point now the car was starting to overheat a little bit. Nothing bad. Just a little bit warm. The car was running good. The cap was doing its job. In the end, I don't think we really had any water pressure issues after that.
terms of lighting, it's not so bad. We can still see quite well, but it's obviously a bit more dark. You lose some reference point. With traffic, that's probably the most difficult part because there's a lot of traffic here with the prototype coming, and so. But it's a great track in the night.
I mean, this place at night is very unique. It's flat, and there's not a lot of natural light. So you would think, well, if it's flat, your lights should be able to project and see quite well. But in reality, the road actually has small curves and cambers in it that are inopportune and corners that are scary that make it a little bit harder to see, essentially. You know, coming out of turn 1, you can't see the exit of the road until you're essentially there. So you just have to rely on natural kind of instincts, and it's actually a really rewarding place to drive at night. If anyone has been to one of these races, knows that the crowd is certainly a unique bunch of folks. And you've got people drunk from day one. The partiers come to start partying before the race even starts. It makes the race really fun. It's really cool to be in this race because of that atmosphere. You know, you're going into turn 10, and barbecues are going off. So all throughout the race, you're getting different smells as you're going through different parts of the track, and you don't get these kinds of experiences in many other places in the world or country, maybe Nürburgring.
The quali was fine. I mean, we missed a bit of lap time in the car, but all the problems were solved. I did 2 push lap, then a cool down, and I try again, but the tires were a bit gone. Obviously here it's important to have a good car over a long run, not so much in a quali run.
We missed an opportunity to pole just a little bit. I think the tire is different this year, so that getting that peak on that qualifying lap is a little tricky, and but that's the only reason why we were on pole.
I mean, we had also a lot of understeer last year, to be honest.
And maybe some more rake might help that a bit. So did we derake it some, or did they change that? No.
I mean, for sure in the night it becomes more on the nose normally. Like last night was. Yeah, but we made some.
Fred McGriff waves the green flag. Here comes the GT field.
Mik got a great start and picked up a spot on the opening lap, and everything was running pretty smooth. He was right behind the leader the whole stint and saving fuel and just doing what we needed to do.
And obviously the first stint I could see it was a fuel game. Everyone was trying to fuel save a bit, not taking any risks, because obviously it's a 12 hours, so you don't really risk anything. But the car was feeling quite decent.
And right about that time where you got back to them and they were starting to struggle was right where we kind of experienced a mechanical issue with the engine.
I didn't have any warning or nothing. I was in turn 1. The engine noise became a bit weird, but there was a prototype around, so I thought it was the LMP2 making that noise. Then when I went on power, the noise just became really strange, and then there was not so much power anymore.
And he was able to limp it around to get to pit lane. And when he came to pit lane, the car essentially stalled itself. When he went to fire it back up to go back to the trailer, it was just locked up. So they ended up pushing it back, getting it back to the truck.
We had a mechanical issue with the engine, and it's tough to swallow. I think the crew, the car, the engineering side was spot on. As you know, obviously there's always things to do.
And on one of the cylinders, it was filled with fuel. So that was kind of like an indicator of a stuck fuel injector. It was essentially filling the cylinder up with fuel, and that caused the hydro lock.
Unfortunately, this was one of the low weekends, and so you know, we'll just have to move forward to the sprint races and Watkins Glen for the next endurance round, and keep working like we do and come back stronger.